Good morning, everyone. It's Lee Henson, President and Founder of Agile Dad, and it's time for today's episode of the Daily Stand-Up. So without any further ado, let's get started. It's Tuesday, and I thought it'd be a good day to talk about something that's been ringing in my mind and something that someone submitted to me to talk about. So it's a combination of both. And I think a lot of people say there's confusion around roles and responsibilities, right? It's one of the top three things that I've identified that every organization gets wrong in some form or fashion. So with that being said, I want to talk to you about some of the top responsibilities that people mistake as the Scrum Master's responsibilities, that Scrum Master should be doing these things. Now, these are really, really interesting because, I followed up with an article and I looked at what they had there, and then I put my own spin on it and I came up with a little write-up. So let's kind of see how this goes, because I think it's gonna make some sense. So the first one is, a lot of people mistakenly think that the Scrum Master is the proxy between teams and other teams, or teams and departments, or teams and stakeholders. And the truth is, they're not. The Scrum Master is not ever intended to completely, when they say that it's the team's responsibility to self-organize and to be self-disciplined, that means that it's not the Scrum Master's responsibility to go and chase down and be the proxy and find out information. Now, it's never effective to have a middle person, right? But if you did have to have someone in the middle, it should probably be the product owner or someone representing the best interests of the stakeholder, the consumer, whoever it might be, that's going to run and get that information for you. Now, I'm not saying that that's always best, but what I am saying is that if you follow that principle in practice, it's going to help you make sure that you're not treating a Scrum Master like the go-between between team and X, right? The next one is my favorite. The Scrum Master is not the sole person to remove impediments. Amen. It's about time somebody said this besides me. I've been saying for a long time that there's a difference between enabling and empowering teams. And if you're constantly removing all their impediments, you're enabling them to continue with bad behavior. If you empower the team to be able to remove their own impediments, then in turn, you're allowing them to have an opportunity to grow and to do the things they need to do. And the Scrum Master certainly should be there to help remove impediments or obstacles that the team can't remove themselves. So it boils down to, is it something the team can take care of? Great, let's facilitate and help make that happen. If the team can't take care of it, then great, we'll find a way to make it done. But it's not the Scrum Master's responsibility to just be the chief impediment remover, the CIR, right? That doesn't work for me. How about this? The Scrum Master should not be the daily Scrum manager or the daily Scrum lead. Okay, here we go. This person does go in and help facilitate the meetings, or they help make sure meetings happen. And sometimes they help with, coordination of the meeting, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be the master of ceremonies. The Scrum Master should never be the person there. Hey, welcome to the Daily Stand-Up. We're so glad you could be here today. So tell me, Jonathan, what did you work on yesterday? And what are you working on today? And do you have any impediments? Our next guest is Frankie. Oh my goodness. If that ever happens, somebody just throw me out of a window. I'd rather plummet to my death than be in that meeting, right? I think too many times people think that the Scrum Master is the master of ceremonies and that they should be running the meeting. And that's not true. A Scrum Master should never manage or run anything. Food for thought, right? A Scrum Master is a servant leader, and that's basically what it is. How about this one? The Scrum Master is not the team's administrative assistant. Oh, yes, I went there. It's not the Scrum Master's responsibility to sit in the daily stand-up or any other meeting and update Jira or be the chief administrator of planning events or setting up all telephone conferences in Scribe. This scares me to death because I see in job descriptions a lot of these things, and it is not the Scrum Master's responsibility. The team is supposed to be responsible for tracking their work, for keeping track of what's going on, and for making sure that, they provide the right information so that, reports and things that do come out of Jira make sense and that it can be of use to the people who are looking and trying to keep track of things that are happening. Next one is this person should not be, the Scrum Master should never be the person who's what we call the feature library, right? And they shouldn't be doing this in a setting where, so here, let me give you two scenarios here. So when I say feature library, the first one is that everyone goes to a Scrum Master when they have questions about the product. Well, obviously you should go to the product owner when you have questions about the product, but you'd be surprised how many people still think that the Scrum Master is the go-between and that they have to go ask the product owner those questions because the team member doesn't feel comfortable going themselves. Interesting, right? The other piece of this is The factory fanatic is a good way to put it, right? So the Scrum Master is not the person who says, whoosh, get to work, cracks the whip, and our only mission is to improve velocity. Oh my goodness. If your constant focus is to get things cracked out of the door and all you're focused on is quantity and just how many things you can crank out and you're focused on output instead of outcome, it's going to be a long day, right? The Scrum Master should never, ever, ever be the person who is in that spot where they're being demanded to treat the team as if they're a set of factory workers, right? Here's another one. The Scrum Master is never the quality gatekeeper. So this means that the Scrum Master is not responsible for determining the goals for how quality should work. They're not responsible for determining the true definition of done. And they should never be responsible for helping a team cut corners to make sure something gets delivered. Interesting. So it's one of these things where the Scrum Master has some very set things that they do to help the team be successful, but should never be avoiding doing the things that are most important, right? Because I think that's something that a lot of people get hung up on. How about this one? The Scrum Master is not responsible for doing constant monitoring control. So I'm thinking of things like status updates on progress and joining the PMO for weekly meetings and updates on status of release and performance reporting per individual, where we count the number of story points completed and compare velocity between individual and team and team. Oh my goodness. I'm throwing up a little bit in the back of my throat just saying that. That is not the Scrum Master's responsibility. The Scrum Master is responsible for helping make sure that people have the tools they need so that they can monitor progress and help the team do things in such a way that they can be predictable. But it should never be to the point where the Scrum Master is just constantly monitoring and doing the command and control thing. It makes me crazy to even think about it. How about this? The Scrum Master is not your chief planning architect, meaning that they're not there to, plan everything for release planning and make sure everything goes a certain way. They're not there to help set the sprint goal, determine a sprint backlog, set deadlines, enter things into whatever work planner or tool you're using, become the task manager and a micromanager. All those responsibilities for planning get delineated or they get disseminated across all of the individuals who are involved in the agile process of the Scrum framework. So it's one of these things where, yes, they're responsible for making sure things happen, but they need to make sure that the right people are involved. It's not just the Scrum Master's responsibility to make sure those things happen. And my last one, we're not meeting our deadline. We're cutting it too close. So we need to make the developers stay longer and work nights and weekends to get things out of the door. Scrum Master, that's your response. Oh my goodness, no. That turns the Scrum Master into a manager. And the second you do that, you take away that third-party advocacy that the Scrum Master has, and you destroy the relationship between the Scrum Master and the team. It makes it to where now the team has another manager and not somebody who represents their best interest. So it's incredibly important that the Scrum Master never act in the form of a manager. Interesting. That's what managers are for anyway. So I hope you found this useful. Lots of good information there. I hope you caught it all. If not, I'll try to jot some notes down in the notes section below. If you have a question about this or any other topic, we encourage you to visit agiledad.com where you can learn more about this. And if you have a topic you want us to cover, feel free to email us at learnmore@agiledad.com, where we'd love to talk about your topic here on an episode of the Daily Stand-Up. And as always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care.